Alright, today, actually yesterday for you guys, Ludion has released their very first blog post showcasing some of the stuff, in particular this time around, the dynamic maps and different types of landmarks and stuff like that in the new Odyssey DLC, so let's go ahead and take a look at it. Alright, so it looks like Odyssey is going to be adding up to 85 dynamic map features, which is pretty wild. That seems like a lot, but that's really cool. It includes lava caves, obsidian deposits, drug stockpiles, and hippo habitats. Of course, multiple of these features can be combined together on one map. It looks like some are going to be random while others depend on their world map location, of course. And they actually show the river varieties here. So rivers are coming in all different shapes and sizes now. We also have a picture here, which is really cool. So instead of just a singular river coming, one direction, looks like it's going to be going around different teeny tiny little islands and whatnot throughout the landscape with the river, wrapping around those, which is much more realistic and also a really cool little touch. And it also appears that this, being known as a delta, is going to be seen on the world map as one of the features, which is really cool. So you can actually choose to see whether or not it has a delta and a huge river and stuff like that. Another really great feature here, kind of sticking with realism, it looks like we are going to see a mix of biomes. So instead of, you're in the desert and right next to that tile, of course, on the world map is like a temperate forest, instead of just having, whether you settle in either one biome, it looks like you're going to see them meet in that area if you're really close to another biome, which just really cool, right? I mean, it just adds a little bit more realism, I think. And I'm an absolutely massive fan of the little touches like this that actually add a lot, at least in terms of immersion and stuff like that, so this world feels real. And so based on what they say right underneath this as well, it looks like not only are the biomes themselves in appearance going to be mixing, but also some of the stuff that comes along with them, like extra fish and certain types of trees and other vegetation and the weather. So for example, if you have some of the volcanic snails and you are in a biome that borders the lava biome, the new one they're adding a temperate forest, you might have some of those pretty little snails roaming around your forest too. And so they're also saying that landmarks that they're adding are actually some of the most dramatic gameplay changing map features, which is really cool. They give an example of a chem fuel refinery landmark, so maybe kind of like those ancient structures and stuff that we're kind of somewhat aware of already, but not to this scale, it would seem. And they say for something like that, it might be guarded by security systems and be alongside a toxic lake with ancient heat vents and a mega hive burrowed beneath it. So that's really cool. So we have these more unique areas that we can go to that are basically just landmarks of these maybe ancient structures in different places. So that's a really cool addition as well. I realize I keep calling everything cool, but I'm sure you've already guessed, or you already know if you watch my content, I'm a massive RimWorld stan. It is my bread and butter, and literally anything added through the DLCs I'm a huge fanboy of, especially stuff like this that just adds little bits and pieces that help you immerse yourself in the game, so I'm all about it. So we have some other discussions of the terrain here too, like bays and lakes and peninsulas and islands. Islands in particular are really cool. I don't really think we've ever had islands, like actual islands in RimWorld, unless we made them ourselves. I think it's a big thing for creators and other folks alike who like doing that type of playthrough or like challenge video, because we would have to use dev mode to create our own islands that were what we needed them to be. It looks like with this as well, we're getting heavy bridges that we can actually build directly over the water. It does kind of look like maybe heavy over here with the shuttle that I'm seeing over here, because that doesn't look like the typical wooden bridge. But again, I don't know if that's something we can build on the deep water. We've never really been able to do that ever, so maybe not. And we also have something here about abandoned colonies. So they're talking about why start from scratch, take over an old base. So they kind of touched on this previously too. Looks like these abandoned colonies are going to be starting with some batteries, beds, and different things like that we've seen in the past. Even medical stockpiles and stuff like that. It does say what happened and why did they leave, so it makes me a little bit curious if maybe there's some type of threat with these new abandoned colonies, but they don't really go into that any further, so I suppose we'll have to see. And they also kind of talk about some of the other formations we can see here with valleys, crevices, caverns, chasms, and hollows. So in between all the mountains, so we kind of get like these cave systems and stuff similar to cave systems, but not exactly, of course, as they are chasms and hollows and valleys and stuff. which is really cool. We don't really get the valleys and stuff. Not like this, where it's like a narrow valley in between the mountains like this. You know, we'll kind of get something similar, but it's more of an opening, but nothing to this effect specifically, I would say. This will be interesting to, and as you can see here, kind of over here, it'll be interesting to see what people end up doing with their defenses and stuff for their bases with this. So, we also have oases, so isolated sanctuaries hidden in the desert, which is going to be really cool. We have yet to see anything like this. I think these are going to be kind of like an abundant place, really, to have your colonies in the deserts and stuff with rich soil and stuff like that, where you can go about growing crops and also having some water to fish and things of that sort. This is really cool. So we have ancient garrisons and launch sites, chem fuel refineries and warehouses, ancient structures with a lot of loot. I'm loving the red lights here. Looks like they're going to be pretty heavily secured. Oh, this is cool too. It's like a military foundation. You can see the tanks. You can see their artillery, the ancient artillery and stuff. So that'll be very fun to explore and very dangerous to explore as well. And it looks like they're also adding 5 new biomes. It says that they all have their own survival challenges and advantages. So we have glow forests beneath sulfur-choked skies. The world glows with bioluminescent fungal light. There's no day, only the shimmer of boom shrooms, apologies, and clouds of hallucinogenic spores. Normal crops won't even grow. Holy shit, that's pretty cool. Yeah, look at that. So just bioluminescent fungi paradise, right? So that's really cool. We also have the lava fields, so you're basically settling near active volcanoes. The land is dangerously unstable. Volcanic debris crashes down from above. Ash scores your colonists' lungs, which, oh, okay, so it's going to affect their breathing, and most likely is going to have a buildup, either killing them eventually, or of course it's going to be reducing their movement, manipulation, and consciousness and stuff like that. So it's something to watch out for. You'll probably need plenty of a gas mask, I would guess. Lava can erupt without warning, consuming entire outposts, along with their people, animals, and that's really cool. So this is something I think a lot of us were interested in when we first saw this, is that these volcanic landscapes can actually change and the lava can actually take you over and stuff. It looks like you can prevent that kind of with barriers and fire foam, which is kind of interesting. So you're basically not only fighting raids and stuff like that and sieges and everything else mechanoids, but you're going to be fighting the very biome and terrain itself. So that's going to probably be a really big challenge for people when this starts, is trying to survive in this new landscape, similar to how we've all tried to survive on sea ice a time or two in our lives, right? And we've all froze to death out there, and now we'll be burning to death, so I look forward to that. The third here, we have the Scarland. So once a thriving city, now it is a shattered wasteland leveled by weapons of mass destruction. You can build here, but survival is brutal. The water is poison, the rain is toxic, and Scaria runs rampant among the wild animals. Come well prepared with supplies and firepower. There's no food or help out here. Treasure may lie buried in the rubble, but the old defenses still work, and dormant mechanoids sleep in the ruins waiting for their next chance to kill. So this is really cool. We're basically seeing an apocalyptic landscape of cities and stuff where nuclear weapons have been used, or some type of weapon of mass destruction. I could see a lot of lore being created from stuff like this too, so that's really awesome. And it's also just another awesome biome and landscape to try to survive in. Looks like there's plenty of reward as well as danger, of course. I do wonder if this is kind of going to maybe tie into the lore of Scaria in RimWorld itself. Perhaps some type of weapon was used and it is also the source of Scaria? Who knows? The fourth biome are grasslands, and it looks like these, I mean, it literally says a cowboy's paradise, but it seems like a paradise for many colonies in general here. Looks like it has long growing seasons, and there is breeze, so plenty of wind to keep your turbines spinning day and night. So it'd be really great for some wind farms, or just colonies completely powered by the wind, I would say. Looks like there's not a lot of rain, so if you have any gigantic forest fires, you might actually be screwed. Maybe temperate forests are still a first colony's best friend in this case, because it looks like the fires move fast, there's not a lot of rain and stuff, but hey, on the bright side, you get to grow plenty of crops. Could be good for a farming empire or something like that, a gigantic farming colony. So that's a lot of fun. We also have the glacial plains here. It looks like food is scarce, fuel is precious, and the cold never lets up. It is inspired by Ice Age survival. The biome is characterized by cold temperatures, crevices, and prehistoric animals like mastodons. So we'll take a look at that. I know there's some different animals like the cats, the large cats as well. I'm not seeing many of those in this picture, though I'm probably overlooking them, but we do have the mastodon, so it's more of a prehistoric looking type of place that is like, Ice Age, it's frozen. You can fish from ice holes, though, and hunt the megafauna for meat and fur, but the real prize lies buried within the ice, the frozen ruins of a lost world. You'll find collapsed homes, crates of forgotten supplies, and cryosleep caskets that still pulse with life. So it looks like there is a lot of treasure to behold within this particular biome, the glacial plains. The biomes, of course, are cool, but this is the coolest part by far, in my opinion, the dynamic terrain and weather. So it adds several systems to make the map feel more organic and alive, and by golly, take a look at this, it does. So we have ice freezing, right? Something that never happened in the base game, nor with any of the previous DLCs. We have ice that actually freezes when it gets cold. It looks like, lakes, rivers, and ponds can flood, and certain types of rains. Shallow floodwater will spread across the land, destroying crops and irritating your colonists with wet feet. You can actually build barriers like walls and sandbags to keep it from doing that. There's also sandstorms that sweep the desert, getting sand everywhere, annoying the colonists. A lot of that going around with these new weather systems, I guess, but it does make sense. Looks like it's going to cause issues where you have to actually clean it up too. Those are some really cool additions. So we also have the so we talked about the flooding here. We also have toxic rain. We kind of touched on that too. Looks like it's dangerous for colonists that get caught outside in it. It causes toxins to build up in their bloodstream. We have strong winds that hinder movement across open ground, but keep your wind turbines turning. That's a pretty cool little feature as well. And we also finally have some blizzards, which is going to bring heavy snow and fierce winds, obscuring vision and turning walks into slow, cold trudges. We have blind fog, rolls in thick, drastically reducing visibility and the maximum range of weapons and abilities. We have overcast skies. These two are not super exciting in terms of how drastic and crazy they are, except for reducing visibility. But it looks like the overcast skies are gloomy and block out the sun, decreasing your solar power generation. So cloudy skies will actually reduce your solar power, which is a cool and more realistic feature. And we have a message from the studio here, just talking about how they're excited to see what we all create, and honestly, I'm excited to see what we all come up with as well. But next week, we are going to be looking at the grav ship in space, so I'll be excited to see that. And I'll also try to cover it if I have time, just as I have this week with the biomes and stuff. We got a lot of cool stuff coming with this DLC. I'm very hyped about it. Like I mentioned, I'm a huge stan, and for RimWorld in general, of course, but also for the DLCs, especially when it adds little features like this, or really big features, but little things that are just more realistic, right? Little touches that are huge, but add a lot, right? But yeah, if you guys want to keep up, be sure to like, subscribe, and all that stuff, and I'll try to keep us all up to date on whatever that you're talking about with the new DLC before it comes out. And as soon as it comes out, you better believe the Rat Daddy, by golly, is gonna be here covering it and playing it and starting a colony and blah 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 blah. You already know. But I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.